Her name is Mi Ling, and she had migrated to Chinatown with her parents to run a small Buddhist temple. She spoke poor English, passable Japanese and Korean, and hated everything about New York. Especially after the night something fell from the sky, turning her scaly and green. But then she met four brothers. Your mutant name should be Mona Lisa, Michelangelo announced, helping the bewildered girl out of the construction site where they had met. "'Cause Leo thought you were an evil crane mutant that chucked those paint cans at you." The leader looked equal parts mortified at his actions and amazed that his brother knew a culture reference outside of the comic book and cartoons. Now Mi stood alone in the lair, taking refuge in the calm quiet of the dojo for just a second to clear her head. Her eyes fell on the weapons wall, resting on pegs, each in its proper place, clean and shiny. A proud display. The light filtered down from the grate above, played along with the metal of longest blades. Her eyes followed the length of a long bow, picturing how the wood was shaped and wrapped, changed from its natural form by human hands. "Something troubles you, child?" She turned and found the turtle sensei standing at her side, joining her to look at the display on the wall. Mi bit her lip. She didn't want to say anything to her new friends, but somehow their sensei was different. Somehow he drew the truth out of her. "Your weapons are sad," she said hesitantly. When he didn't respond, she ducked her head shyly, switching to Japanese. "I mean, it feels sad to look at them. They only exist to hurt people. They were made with hatred." Splinter tapped his green staff on the carpet thoughtfully. She waited for the ninja master to rebuke her, but instead, he said, "Perhaps we can consider an alternative. Perhaps they are not made with hatred, but with joy and pride." Her brow furrowed, and she looked back at the wall. "The joy of men winning battles?" the young Buddhist asked softly, eyeing on the katana blade. "Proud that these weapons get them what they want?" Splinter stroked his beard and was silent. "Weapons are forged to cause pain," Mi intoned, saying the words her mother and father told her in her life. "How can anything good come from that reason to exist?" Splinter tightened his grip on his staff. He turned his head and steadily to the dojo's entrance. "Leonardo, come." Mi rolled in shock as the turtle stepped into the room, his expression sheepish at getting caught. She wondered how long he had been listening, and what he thought of her now. But Leo looked at his teacher, not at the young mutant. He came to a stand in front of the tall, straight-back form. "Hi, Sensei," he said formally, ready to accept punishment for eavesdropping. Mi gazed at the ground. Why she had not explained Buddhism, a peg of non-violence to a ninja master. Leo must think she was an idiot. "Leonardo, perform Oni Kenbu," Splinter ordered. Both young mutants looked at him in confusion. "Sensei?" Leo asked, confused. Splinter didn't answer, but he walked to his usual spot in front of the dojo and knelt. He caught May's eye. He requested, showing a spot next to him on the floor. Curiously, she did. Leonardo obeyed his sensei with no further hesitation. He took a stance in the center of the dojo, facing away from his audience. His posture was straight and sure. He picked up one foot and placed it down in front of him, changing his pose. Then, with a smooth, quick movement, Leonardo drew his swords. Mi's eyes widened and watched as he flowed into motion. The complicated pattern of movements carried him across the carpets of the dojo, the steps taking him half in a circle. Slowly, his face revealed as he turned, fiercely focused, eyes narrowed in concentration. Mi couldn't look away from the dance. The two swords seemed to be extensions of his body, sunlight flashing across them as he turned through the steps. He leaped up and twisted. They swept through the air, exactly where he had been standing the instant before, as if he intended to try to cut himself down. He then landed on the balls of his feet, the tips of the blades meeting the perfect arch overhead. The dance came to an end, and Leonardo's body stilled in the exact spot he had started, but now he was facing them. He held the pose for a moment before his face relaxed and slid the swords back into his satchel. Wow, Mi breathed. Not used to getting a compliment like that from a girl, Leonardo's face immediately turned pink. A burst of laughter startled, and both he and Mi looked, seeing the figures of his brothers standing in the doorway. Raphael wolf whistled. "Oh, cut it out, guys!" Leo objected, embarrassed to find out he'd been performing for more than just his sensei and Mi. He started to take a step to chase them. Belatedly, he remembered his sensei and bowed, then took off after his fleeing culprits when Splinter bowed back to dismiss him. Splinter looked down at the young mutant, who was seated beside him. She wore a curious expression. "That was amazing," she said. "It is a traditional dance performed by the summer festivals in northern Japan," he said. His voice became gentle as he added, "Have we showed you that weapons are not only for causing pain?" A startled look crossed Mi's face. Slowly, she smiled. "Hi, Sensei,"